as I look at, Jerry, you threw two or three, four items out there. I think I know what they are and can address them. I'll be specific. With regards, for example, with the Mill Hall pool, that was one of the items I heard you mention. I do believe that there's an opportunity for county commissioners to help engage in resolving serious and significant problems like that, especially where there's multiple funding sources required. In the case of something that's what we would call a municipal problem. I thought we were on the path to solution eventually on that. I applaud the commissioners for their great attempts to resolve that. Was there a way to have begun that process in that case a bit sooner? Was there a way that the county commissioners could have intervened 6 months or a year sooner, and therefore we would not have felt this deadline pressure at the end? That I knew in my heart when those bids went out that they were going to have difficulty finding anyone to take those bids. And yet they sent them out, and of course we didn't get the bidder to do the repairs. I think there's a place for county commissioners to get involved in things like that. You got to do so very carefully because, as we know, municipalities like to take care of their people first, and that's what they're there for. I think planning is important in long-range planning. 4-year, 5-year. It was mentioned last night, 6-year planning. Some of these issues, for example, the building down at the prison, I didn't realize that we wanted to move the comm center down here until I came to the forum last night. If that is part of the plans, then perhaps did we build that building thinking about that and knowing that? Could we have built that building and just said right up front, yeah, we're going to put a plan together to move the comm center down to that area because they need to move from where they're at behind the hospital. Be upfront with those things, get people involved, plan things out, 4-year plans, have business plans to address your needs. I would be a commissioner who likes to be personally involved in budgets. I've done budgets. I've done my own budgets. I've been working on budgets since my first year at the state. And I would be one who would be deeply involved, not interfering with what's going on with that's why we have department heads. But I want to be personally asking questions and looking at the numbers and talking to the treasurer and talking to and so that you don't do budgets at 6 months and 9 months, you stay on top of them on a constant, ongoing basis. And to me, that helps prevent some of the problems that you can encounter. So I addressed a few of your concerns that were mentioned in the question, I hope. So thank you.
One of the things I'd like to see and work on is making the budget process for the county more transparent. It's my understanding right now that our county treasurer, elected official, and our auditors have little, if any, input on the budget process. I question why, as county taxpayers, we're paying $80,000 a year for a financial advisor from Harrisburg. I want to look at that. I want to know why we have commissioners who feel that they need to spend $80,000 for a financial advisor. Maybe there's a good reason for that, and I certainly want to take a look at that. I also, again, not being involved in it every day, I see the comments in the newspaper, like with the prison board, apparently seems to have a lot of questions about their budget, not having any input on it. There are 34, I believe, authorities and boards that the county commissioners work with. I think that all of those boards should have representation from county commissioners, and the county commissioners should have a vote on those authorities and boards. I absolutely believe that we need those authorities and boards in place. It's just too much for county government to handle all those things. But there's got to be open transparency to our budget process. There's going to be a big cost with the mandates to go to narrowband for our emergency services. So as we're looking for this move for our 911, our local fire companies are strapped for dollars just like everybody else. And most of your fire companies now have to switch to this narrow band. Somehow, if possible, county may be asked to help with that. We've got to use every dollar that we have and the hope of not raising taxes to cover the emergencies that we have. I see in the paper all day the people that are struggling for the cost of the sewer tap-on fees. A lot of our sewer and water systems are antiquated. They need to be updated. We have to meet the regulations of the Chesapeake Bay. County government is no different than the school district. The government mandates things
30 seconds.
Passing the buck. And I'll do everything I can to make those dollars stretch, hopefully without adding any further tax burdens onto the citizens of this county. Thank you.
Rick?
Okay, yeah, that was a pretty extensive question, but let me see if I can come around it a little bit. One of the things I would have done differently, and it may just be because I have more of a personal interest in that kind of thing, is technology, and I know they're moving that direction now, but I think we should have aggressively been going after, maybe even before this group of commissioners sat, from a standpoint of the computerization. I would love to be able to get on my computer and access every form at the county level so that I do not have to go to the courthouse to pick up a specific form for a specific duty, or for that matter, write a letter and have it sent snail mail to my house. It would be great if every form was available that way. Now, I know there might be some restrictions, and we may have to work with the state to accomplish that. But I think with the computers in place and with a county this large, if we had access to that kind of thing on a more instant basis, it would improve the efficiency. I think the other thing from that standpoint is deed searches and title searches. And again, I know there may be some hoops to jump through at the state level for them to permit that to happen. But I think we should be able to, there's no reason, if it's public information, that I shouldn't be able to do a deed search or a title search from the desk in my house. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I think that's one of the things I would have done differently. Now, let me just discuss a couple of the things that have already been mentioned at the table here. I had a little information on the potential moving of the comm center some time ago, and it seems to me that the only thing I would disagree with is I'm not sure I want my countywide communication center in a building completely above ground after what we experienced this past week. I'd like them to be in a more secure facility where they're not going to be affected by aggressive, the kind of aggressive weather we had. But let me tell you, I absolutely know those people need new space, and we need to be looking at where that goes. And it's probably, when you think about services to the county as a whole, everybody is affected in the county by what happens at the communication center. Everybody is affected.
30 seconds.
So it needs to be addressed pretty quickly. I guess I'm not going to get to these, but the other thing is, just so we're understanding this, there are restrictions that the county has that they cannot have votes on many of the authorities. The way the authorities are set up, they can't have votes on it. That's the problem. If you don't want to use authorities, then you've got to find a way out of it. But when there's authorities, they don't have a vote. They can't have a vote.
Thank you. Next question, Dave.
Evening, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. Last night I asked a question, and I feel I have to repeat the same question this evening, only to get all 8 candidates on the record about natural gas drilling. Now, Rick so kindly, in his opening statement, outlined his view of an impact tax, where it should go, that sort of thing. In the interest of saving time, since we're 45 minutes into this already, and we're trying to get as many questions answered as possible, and because most of the people that are here tonight were also here last night, except for Mr. Snyder, who was in Renova at a school board meeting. I'll save the background, but when it comes to natural gas drilling, I have 3 simple questions for you, gentlemen. Number 1, do you want an impact tax, which is really the only way over the next 3.5 years we're going to get any money out of the gas drillers, specifically into our county? because they will not pass a severance tax in Harrisburg? That's question number one. Each of you should answer. Question number two, do you own any land that could be leased for natural gas drilling? And number three, have you seen the documentary Gasland to be able to take a look at all aspects of this, since of course as county commissioners, you're going to represent everybody in the county who may have different points of view.
Okay, we're starting with Dan Harder.
I'm not against the comm center, by the way. It's an open debate. And I'm also, I just don't, the financial officer is a situation with me also. I would like to talk about it later. No, I do not own any ground. I wish I did. Gasland, I saw some of that. It just shows one side. I don't agree with all the things. Some of the things are fine, but that normal commentary is probably one side. You called it last night a severance tax. Now you've called it an impact tax. You know, I'm a fellow that's worked all my life here in this county to bring industry here, and we've given them tax breaks, and we've done everything that we possibly can to provide jobs. Look how successful we've been. Look at First Quality. Do you want them to have an impact fee? I don't think so. And I call it an impact fee. Now, an impact fee to me is when you impact something. Well, let me explain something to you. We're already getting that. I've mentioned the landfill tonight. The first quarter of this year, $240-some thousand came to the county. Probably over half of that was from the gas. That's an impact fee at our landfills. Every ton of material that comes in there from the gas companies at the landfill is $10.25. The state gets their cut, the host community gets their cut, and Growing Greener gets money. It's on and on and on. That's an impact fee. If you impact something, you pay. The roads, Anadarko just announced they're going to do a betterment, a full-blown betterment project. And guess what? What they will spend, and Pete's sitting beside me, if the state was spending the same money, it would be $30 million. So we can tax them $30 million. Then we can go to the state and we can say, and this is history with the casino gambling.
30 seconds.
I need money. Oh, Mr. Hanna, would you please get us the money? And if he's not successful, we don't get that. No, I think an impact fee will come. But it'll come in time as they are successful in what they're doing. And I want to make full, I'm working in the gas fields. And I see what they do environmentally and how they protect themselves and how they try to protect us the best we can. So we need to get out there and communicate with them, see what they're doing, and let's make this thing a realistic thing for us here. We need to know everything. I agree, and I'm one guy that can do that. I can actually talk both sides of it.
Thanks.
Yeah, don't remember, Dave, the order of the questions, but no, I do not own any land that does. I own my house, a nice house, and that's all I need. I did not see the documentary Gasland. One thing I would dispute with you is your comment was so we could see all sides of the story. I did not see it, so I'm not going to judge it, but I have studied the impact of the natural gas from an environmental perspective, and believe me, if you have done that, there's tons of resources out there on both sides that you can research. I've chosen not to use that as one of my resources, that's all. And as far as the severance tax or impact, your question was income impact tax, and that's how we'll answer the question. Ultimately, the short is, yeah, I would favor some sort of an impact tax or fee charge to help the municipalities and the counties affected by the gas drilling operations. I didn't like the tax that was proposed, which was a severance tax last fall, because it was divided up in about 9 pieces going to different agencies, and not a big enough chunk of it went to local municipalities in my book. I thought it was more geared towards filling the coffers of the black hole down in Harrisburg, to tell you the truth. And it did not get passed, and I'm glad it did not. With that said, though, I think it would be appropriate to have an impact. Now, there are systems in place already that help alleviate the impact. For example, the road system. If there's a few changes or changes made to the existing law, there's systems in place for the gas companies to reimburse the state and the local municipalities for road damage. That system already exists. Use that system. There's also a tax, or not a tax, but it's called pilot. The commissioners are quite familiar with it. Payments made in lieu of taxes to municipalities and counties and school districts in Pennsylvania. I wouldn't mind seeing that the amount that's paid, which is $1.20 per acre.
30 cents.
In Clinton County has a big impact because there's so much state farm. I wouldn't mind a bill that would increase that, maybe perhaps double that or triple that figure, so that we could. It would also benefit the school district, by the way, if we would address that. So let's look at some of the legislation and enhance it so that we can recover some of the damage, so that we can help these municipalities and the county address the impact. And you call it, and so I do an additional impact tax.
3 minutes.
I would also support that as well.
Thanks, Pete. As far as gas land, though, I'm going to say about that is that's what you want it to be when you view that. As far as owning property, I currently have no property that is being leased by the gas company. I do own some property in Lycoming County, and I will make that decision if and when they ever get there, whether I will lease it or not. At this point, I'm probably going to say I'm not going to lease it. Impact tax, severance tax, whatever you want to call it, I'm not prepared to make a decision on that. I want to see what the proposal is, because if they impose that tax, how much of it's going to stay here locally? That's what we have to see first. Now, I approached Mike Hanna several years ago, and I asked Mike to introduce a bill in Harrisburg that when state game lands, forest properties, were going to be leased to the gas company. I asked Mike if he would introduce legislation that 10% of the sale price of the contracts and 10% of the royalties to stay locally. 5% to the school district, earmarked for tax reduction, 2.5% to the county, and 2.5% to the municipality. And Mike's comment at the time was, we're looking at a severance tax. I said, okay, Mike, how much of your severance tax, which he indicated to me was 7%, would stay locally? He said 1% of 7%. Folks, it's not there. It's not there. Watching PCN about a week and a half ago, there were 4, I believe, Democrat legislators questioning some people in the gas industry. One of those individuals' name was Kevin West. He's affiliated with the company EQT. And some of their questions to Mr. West dealt about severance tax or impact tax. Mr. West does business, his company, not only in Pennsylvania, but I believe he mentioned New Jersey, in the gas industry. He said that his company is not opposed to a severance tax and or an impact tax. They pay them in the other 3 states where they do business. When asked by one of the Democratic legislators if in fact such a tax were imposed in Pennsylvania, would they leave? He emphatically said no. We've got to not only do everything we can as commissioners, but through the Commissioners Association, put pressure on for some type of fees so that they stay locally. The other thing that concerns me is our DEP agents are watchdogs out there. And I've talked to a couple of them, and they have admitted to me they are not properly trained for what's happening out there.
3 minutes.
We have to make sure that happens. Thank you.
Let me start, Dave. First, I have not seen the entire movie. I've seen portions of the movie. I do try to avoid watching things that I know are intentionally one-sided. The Department of Environmental Protection in Pennsylvania alone considered the movie fundamentally dishonest. And of course, people are going to say, well, yeah, that's the state, they're dishonest anyway, but I don't believe that. I do have a piece of land. It's about 120 feet deep by 60 feet wide. Mary, you going to let me put a derrick on that site? I kind of doubt that. I'm on Water Street in Lockheed, but that's the only property I own or have any financial interest in. So no, I don't. The tax, I already mentioned my thought on the tax. I think that's all. It's a given that it's going to occur at some point. Is the state going to do that? Probably not. But the state's going to have to make some way of permitting. If they say, if the governor says the counties could do it, and yet we know the counties aren't permitted to do that, the state has to put a process in place where we can do that, and we'd be willing to, or I'd be willing to. With the thought though that they're already paying some taxes in some form, that may be true, and Mr. Harder referred to First Quality. First Quality is paying property tax, so we aren't getting those dollars off of First Quality. So they're not taking a resource out from under our feet for nothing. And frankly, that's where we have to realize there has to be a cost to what they're getting. The gas company's getting their raw material for nothing right now. Yeah, they've invested in the property, they've invested in the drilling, but what they're getting out of the ground is not costing them anything. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. There are loggers out there that would love that privilege. They'll lease an acre of land to cut all the trees off of it and not pay for the trees. That they would love that. We don't permit them to do it. We certainly shouldn't be permitting the gas companies to do it. I think we have processes in place. I've worked with radioactive materials in my entire professional career. I've answered to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission and the Department of Environmental Protection through the Bureau of Radiological Health. I believe they have responsible people that know how to do their job. Whether we need to put more feet in the ground, there's no question about that, and I have a process where that can be done, and I've already shared that to some extent with Representative Hanna. Thank you.
As far as the movie, no, I did not see that. As far as the land, my wife and I own approximately 8 acres on White Rock. We're about 1.8 miles from a gas site. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't think they involve 8 acres unless they try to run a line down through us or whatever. I'm not sure how that would work. But living that close to the gas well, I talked with supervisors, etc. My wife and I followed and followed. And these guys were great. They told us to have our water tested, and we had to do it on our own. We test our water. And by doing that, testing our water, I'm not trying to change the subject, testing the water, that gave us an open door to, if they do contaminate our well, they will take 100% responsibility for that. Now, as far as the severance tax, here's where I was going with this. As far as that severance tax, to the people I've talked to in Averson-Echelon from the gas company, they are setting on that money. That money was already budgeted for counties. And I will fight tooth and nail to keep that money at a local level, not in the general fund of Harrisburg. We're the ones that deal with it. We're the ones that have to live with it. We listen to the noise. We worry about hazardous waste spills. So if I'm a commissioner, that's one thing I will really support, is that severance tax stays local.
Okay, let's open it up. The next question will be started by Pete, but let's see who has a question. You gentlemen were here last night. Okay, I'm going to go back to the panel. Yes, sir.
I
I would ask, of all the issues that were presented tonight, which of those issues has the greatest priority in your book? Which one would you address if you were to become commissioner tomorrow?
There are so many issues. I just want to say, I'll answer your question with that one. You want one, but you got to be a multitasking commissioner and be able to deal with many issues at one time. I mean, it's just, you just need to. You can't focus on one with you know, because that's. I would have to say probably managing the budget in face of uncertain times. I'm going to put that, but believe me, there's two or three other issues real close on the heels of that question. That's why I'm saying, well, one isn't. There's many issues we need to address, and I say that because I know a budget has been completed, and I know that funding out of our other sources, which much of the county budget is funded from by Washington and Harrisburg, and community development block grants, for one, are critical to keeping projects going in municipalities in this county, and that's threatened. That's threatened. So I would have to say, being able to adjust your funding, your fiscal situation, your budget, so that if Harrisburg, Washington, and those sources, they mandate that we deliver these services, they provide funding to deliver many of the services the county government provides. The issue would then be the funding stops. How do we continue to deliver the services, or which services do we cut, which services? That, to me, is a serious problem. And I want to get into 2 and 3, but your question was 1. And I said there are more, but I just want to answer your one question, that I think that's the most pressing issue that we would face.
Okay, great. That was a 2-minute answer. We're going to stick with 2 minutes. We can get more questions, Jeff.
I've been working for quite a while now, getting ready for doors to open up. I think the most important thing right now going on is the Marcellus Shale gas industry. And I have been talking to people so that I'm prepared to hit the ground running. I am not opposed to the gas industry. I mean, there's no sense in that. They're here. I want to open those doors so that if there is an accident and A&A is involved, I have a business card. I already know who he is. I call him. I go to that site. I tell you what was in that truck. I can tell you, hopefully within minutes, of their plan, impact plans on how they're going to clean that site up. We need those type of communications. And I've been working diligently to open those doors so that I can hit the ground running. So if there's a problem, I'll be part of the solution. I'll be communicating with you and with the people involved in the industry. And I mentioned it earlier, Mr. Fetzer, that we've got to become more proactive instead of just reacting to things. And there are other counties who already have things in place that I think are a lot more proactive. And I plan on checking out their plans and bringing them back here and getting started on that immediately. Thank you.
Rick?
The number one issue, and I'm not a very good student, so you'll probably get more than one from me, but the number one issue is obviously Marcellus Shale. I think Mr. Snyder is absolutely right. If you're not ready to deal with that the minute you step into office, then you're not ready to step into office. It's already there. It's ahead of us. None of us are incumbents to the county commissioner seats. So none of us have already worked with them on a day-to-day basis. We would have to be ready to do that. So you're absolutely, Mr. Snyder is absolutely right. Marcellus Shale's number one. That's an industry that is so dynamic right now. We're only in the very beginning of this industry. What I understand and what I've been told is that what we saw happen last year in 2010 is going to be nothing compared to what we see in 2011 from a production standpoint. Keep in mind, 2010 had a lot of work, but not a lot of gas coming out yet. The vast majority of it hasn't been tapped yet, and they know that, and that's why they're working harder every day. So yes, I think Marcellus Shale is the #1 issue affecting the county. The second thing, though, that I'm going to give you two is I think there's a crime issue here that we better not be turning our backs on.
30 seconds.
Because it's going to go, it's going to, the minute we turn our backs, it's going to become a far bigger problem than we're worried about with Marcellus Shale, an industry that already has 8 federal regulations and 11 state regulations they have to deal with. So, thank you.
I'm going to stick here with the severance tax. If we can keep that, which I'm sure we will get some of that, that would make a major boost to our fundings in the county. And what that would do is I would function, if I'm commissioner, I would function as a stabilizing of real estate taxes or maybe lower. And another program that I would really work hard on is our senior citizens. They're the ones that are struggling. Our senior citizens, I think for the last 2 years, don't quote me, have not gotten pay raises, I think. So if we can raise more money for the senior citizens, it's going to help them buy their groceries, their medications, you know, their fuel, their real estate taxes. And God love them, even if we could even reduce their taxes in half. You know, our senior citizens are forefront for us. They've made life easier for me. And going into senior citizen age myself here in a few years, you know, I don't want to have to struggle. So, thank you.
I want to answer affirmatively on the Marcellus Shale. We get deep involved in that. And when I said no impact fee, the impact fee will come. But the fee will come when they start to take the royalties out of the ground. And what we have to understand, I'm talking about Clinton County alone, and the state has 65% of Clinton County. We lived through a gas boom in Reno when I was young. And the gas companies up there became the best corporate people that we had. They're still there, Dominion Gases. 100 great jobs. Columbia Gas, I don't know how many they had. My brother probably knew. He worked for them. Probably 15 or 20 jobs. Paid $30 an hour. And they're still there, and we should get in the bus and just go and see what happened there. But let me tell you how it'll help the county. The real estate tax, the people will get off the leases. Okay, the royalty tax will be a corporate net income tax. State tax income, county taxes, leases, transfers, corporate tax, capital gains, school taxes, homes purchased, which Trican Well Service has purchased several houses in Woolridge. 1.5 payroll taxes if the school district's on top of that.
30 seconds.
Mercantile tax in the end. Fuel tax at the pump, which we see trucks every day. New sales taxes, which is great. Permit fees, landfill taxes, water costs, and we can do better with that. Phone taxes, hotel taxes, which they're paying for. So the taxes are there, and the county will benefit from that, and we will have an impact fee in the future. There's no doubt in my mind about that.